Hello, my name is Ella and I'm in Cambridge, New Zealand. Welcome to my little channel where I get to talk about knitting and crochet as much as I want to people like you who really get it. I've got so much to show you today. I've got 4 finished objects. I've got what I'm wearing, a scarf, and the Jacinto Baby Dress that I have finished, which is rather cool. And I've got a brand new project on my needles. It's a test knit cardigan by Tania Barley. So first of all, before we get into it though, let me just take a moment to thank you guys for all of your beautiful comments and your supportive likes and your supportive subscriptions to my channel. I had no idea this would happen. I almost didn't post that video. My husband just said to me, feel the fear and do it anyway. So I did. And I really, I was so nervous. So thank you so much for all your beautiful comments and encouragement and compliments. They were very much appreciated. And I very much enjoyed reading all your comments and seeing where you guys were all from, because I was blown away. I had people watching from around the world, which was so cool. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. So I had people from the US, of course, and Canada, Australia, France, Scotland, England, Ireland, Germany, Norway, Norway, Germany, did I say Germany? And just all around the world. It was so cool. And obviously in New Zealand too. But I didn't really realise, I just didn't know why I didn't think about it, but I didn't think that I would have people in my own town watching. I don't know why I thought that. My husband said, well, duh. But yeah, people have recognised me in the street since I posted that video. So, oh, thank you so much. I'm a pretty shy person, so it's been a bit of a trip really. So if you do see me around, please say hi. I would love to talk to you, and thank you again for all of your comments. It's just meant so much to me to get yeah, so just get a bit emotional thinking about it, because it's been something I've wanted to do for a while and didn't think I could do it, and I did it, and you seem to have enjoyed it, so that's really, really cool. So thank you. Anyway, on to the knitting. So last time I showed you my ranunculus, which is knitted in a 10 ply Aran weight yarn, and I'm very excited because it's turned out really, really well. So as you all know, the ranunculus is by Midori Hirose, or if you're new to knitting, you might not have heard of it, but it is a pattern that is a yoke sweater knitted top down in the round, obviously, and it's got a lovely lace detail here. And it usually has short rows in the front and the back, but I have modified that a little bit. I just love the pattern, and the reason why I knitted a second one in the first place was just to try out and see if I could, or if I liked, a top-down yoke sweater with a much less positive ease. So I still ended up with positive ease because I chickened out of making the size 1, and I'll tell you the reason. So the pattern it's all the same size until it gets to the bottom of the yoke, and then you do some raglan increases, and that's what makes the different sizes. And I thought, well, I'm going to do a size 1 so that I can get as little positive ease as possible. And then when I got to dividing for the sleeves, I just chickened out of doing the size 1, so went to the size 2, and then I had knitted a little bit of when I went to join for the sleeve and knit the sleeve later on, I went to knit it, and luckily I tried it on, because my arms are flappier than I thought, and I have a lot of extra under there that I didn't really realize I had. So yeah, that was a fun revelation. So I had to actually pick up some more stitches underneath the armhole, which wasn't that fun. to do, but all it meant was that I wasn't closing up the holes. So I picked up the required number of stitches and then put a few extras either side of that, and then it worked out. And I had seen a few people do this on YouTube, where they had missed out the short rows in the front. And I thought I'd give that a go. And I saw that on Edible Makes Thoughts, or Edible Thoughts Makes. I don't know why I always confuse that channel, but I will pop her link down below, because she's knitted a huge amount of ranunculuses, and she's got a lovely lot of samples there for you to see. So I will link her down below in the show notes. But anyway, she has omitted the short rows in the front on a lot of hers. And so I thought I'd give that a go. And when I first heard her talk about omitting the short rows in the front, she added short rows in the back. And I had no idea what she was talking about. And she just said, oh, I just added short rows until I thought I had enough, and then I carried on. And I didn't have a clue what that meant. But I thought, well, I'll give it a go, and what's the worst that can happen? I'll just need to rip it back if it doesn't work out. And so all I did was keep doing the short rows until I got the stitches right around to nearly meeting in the front, and then I stopped, and it worked out. So the short rows in the back, let me show you actually. The short rows in the back are a bit wider than the pattern calls for, so the lace pattern doesn't drop down as much. And then in the front, there's no short rows up there at all above the lace pattern. And I like it, but I also like the one where you've got the short rows in the front as well. I like both of them. But yeah, it was fun to do my first modification to a pattern. That was pretty cool, and it's worked out really well. So the yarn that I used, in case you didn't watch the first episode, is a budget-friendly yarn put out by Skeinz Yarn in New Zealand, and it's this lovely sort of periwinkle blue colour, and it's got quite a high twist on it, and it's quite a budget-friendly yarn, like I said. So it is 100% New Zealand wool, premium wool, it says. But it was only $3.50 a ball on one of their great sales. It's nice and soft, lovely and soft actually. And I have been wearing this every day since I made it. I thought I better change it yesterday. I think I wore my other ranunculus yesterday, but it's so comfy and warm that I've been wearing it every day, and I have noticed quite a bit of pilling. So it's a soft yarn. I don't know if that's going to continue or not. We shall see. I talked to somebody at the yarn show the other day in Cambridge, and asked her about pilling, and she said that pilling will carry on happening for a while, and then it will just stop. And I don't really know whether that means that it'll stop after you keep de-pilling it. So I've got a gleaner, and I've de-pilled it twice now, and it's still pilling. So, well, did she mean that it stops when you just leave it alone, or do you keep de-pilling it? And I don't know. Or I know that certain wools pill more than others, but yeah, I don't want it to mean that in a year or so I'm not going to be able to wear this jumper, because even though it's cheap yarn, and that's not to say there's anything wrong with this, because I don't think there is. Skeinz wool has got a very good reputation. They just do a lot of bulk deals, and I got that on special. So yeah, anyway, back to what I was saying. There's nothing wrong with this yarn, but I'm very curious to see how it wears, seeing as how it's so soft. Yeah, so enough of blathering on about that. I think I said all I wanted to say, other than it worked out really well, and I got a bit more positive ease than I was bargaining for, but that's okay. I'm happy with it. I did everything else to pattern. So I made the sleeves with the standard sleeves where you knit all the way down until you get to the cuff, and then you do a rapid decrease, and then you do the I-cord. And it turned out really neat. I really like it. And I got the perfect bracelet length, which was perfect. So I think I can actually do the Smarty Pants dance for that one. Smarty Pants I am, because I nailed it totally. The next project I would like to show you is the Jacinto Baby Dress by Sandra from Agasalhos and Bugalhos. It was a test knit I did for her, and I'm very, very happy, and I could do the Smarty Pants dance for this one too, because nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. It was a very wonderful pattern. If you've knit her patterns before, it was exactly the same as all of her other patterns. She designs patterns that are suitable for absolute beginners. She will take you right through the pattern by giving you step-by-step instructions for every single little part of the pattern. Included with that is photographs all the way through, and she gives you stitch guides for any increases all the way through. If it was a raglan sweater, there'd be the whole chart with how many stitches you need on each part of the raglan in a little table. So it's very good for beginners and experienced knitters too. I've heard a lot of good comments from experienced knitters too. But the only trouble is, if you go to press print on your printer, don't do it, because it's like about 30 pages long, the pattern. But it's really good. Yeah, my only feedback for the test knit actually was, would she consider doing a summary page in her patterns so that you could just have a printable part, and then you could refer back to the tutorial part when you need to. But her patterns are so lovely. I totally recommend them. And if you're giving any new techniques a go, pick one of her patterns, because they're just really, really lovely. So the little dress is knit top down in the round, but you have to knit the little shoulder pieces first, and then you'll join them underneath at the neckline, and then keep knitting down, and you do the same for the back, and then you join in the round at that point, knit a little bit more, and then you're into the body of the dress, the skirt part of the dress, which is stockinette with a little lace detail right through, and it's got a beautiful garter stitch hem, which gives it a really nice touch, and I-cord edges. So in the pattern, she gives you instructions for either an applied I-cord edge or an applied I-cord edge or an attached I-cord edge. And one version, I can't remember off the top of my head which one's which now, but one version is knit where you pick up all the stitches first and then do the I-cord. And the other one is you pick up the stitch as you go up knitting the I-cord. And they both give different looks. So one of them I did on the armholes, and one of them I did on the neckline, which just gave a different look. Yeah, so I was super happy with that. And let me tell you about the yarn. It is Mrs. Peacock's yarn, which is a beautiful 80% merino, 20% nylon. And I got it at the Auckland Wool Fest. When was that? June. And it is a gorgeous hard-wearing yarn. So the 20% nylon will just strengthen it up, which is perfect for babies, for kids. And I could even probably get a pair of socks out of the 50 grams that I've got left, because I had to buy 2 skeins because I was knitting a size 2, a 24-month. And I needed to find some sport weight yarn, and sport weight is not actually that common in New Zealand, or at least I haven't found much of it. But a lot of our yarn in 4-ply will knit to a 5-ply gauge because it's a little bit thicker usually. And this was one of those ones. And Cynthia from Mrs. Peacock's Yarns had some beautiful knitted samples there that I could see, and she measured the gauge for me, and it was perfect for the project. So I was sold, and I'm so happy that I found her yarn. It's beautiful. I'll be definitely looking out for her again at our next wool, what do you call them, wool festivals. Um, our local one here is next month in Hamilton in July. So, well, it's actually this month, isn't it? It's this month in July. Gosh, the year's flying, isn't it? So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her yarns again. She's got some beautiful self-striping sock yarn too. So please check her website out. I'll put the link down below. Beautiful yarn. Yeah, very, very happy with it. So my next finished object is just a little Sophie scarf that I have knit out of super special yarn. Back in Mother's Day, I got to go, back in May, I got to go and hang out with my daughter. That was her present to me. Free present for her, but it did take all day. She came and hung out with me while I went window shopping at all the yarn shops that I had been wanting to go to for a while. I'm not too keen on driving up to Auckland by myself, so I took her with me and we went up there and hung out for the day and went to Lupine Wool in Parnell, and my eyes were blown there. Luckily, I was strong and didn't succumb to any purchases except for this yarn, and I'll tell you about that in a second. And then we went to Knit and Stitch in Mount Eden and checked out the Knitting for Olive range, which was super beautiful. I did buy one of those. I'll have to get it out and show you. Um, and then we went to the Ribbon Rose on the way home, and that was really cool. So when I was at Lupine Wools, my goal was to look at Outlaw yarns because she's got a lovely big selection there. I wasn't 100% sure on what I needed for which project I needed, and I don't like to just buy yarn to have it in a stash. I need a project. I haven't got the budget to just buy yarn willy-nilly, so I didn't buy anything at the time. But Alana, who owns the shop, she was one of the first YouTube channels that I ever watched, and I still watch all of their videos. One of my little knitting heroes, I suppose. She knits quite a few of her garments in Spincycle yarns. And Spincycle is quite a treat for us in New Zealand. It's $60 for just a 100-gram skein. Let me look at my notes. Oh, sorry, it's $60 for a 50-gram skein of yarn, which is only 182 meters. It's a sport weight wool, so I'm talking about the dyed in the wool yarn here. So I priced up a jumper that I wanted to knit that Alana had knit, and it was I can't remember the name of the pattern off the top of my head, but I priced up the yarn to knit that jumper and it was going to cost about $700. So I won't be doing that anytime soon. I don't think a beginner knitter has any business spending that kind of yarn, that kind of money on yarn. I mean, I don't know who would anyway, but well, not just yet, I wouldn't imagine anyway, but what people do a lot is knit things like Sophie scarves, small accessories, or use it for colour work because it's amazing yarn. Anyway, one of the first projects that I saw her do, which was this one that I priced up at $700 or something, she was knitting it with Willolo, the colourway Willolo. And when I went up there with my daughter, I was looking at all the Spincycle yarn, and I was there to look at the Willolo because that's what I wanted to buy. And there was only one skein of it, and I wasn't going to buy it, but it was Mother's Day, and there was one skein of Willolo, and that was the one I wanted to look at. So I bought it, and I treated myself to Mother's Day, and I decided, well, what am I going to knit with it? Nothing else to do but the Sophie scarf. and because I wanted it to be super long enough to wrap around my neck twice, because I really like to tie things around my neck so that they don't fall off, because it really annoys me when I've got straps hanging down. Anyway, I knitted it and it turned out really well. To make it long enough, I went up a needle size. So it calls for a size 3.5mm needle, and I used a 4.5mm needle, which gave me a nice loose gauge, and it's worked out really well. I'll just put it on for you quickly to show you that it wraps right around, and I've been wearing it a lot. It's very nice and light and warm. But then when I knitted it and I'd finished it, all the way through I keep thinking something's wrong with it, because I have knit one of these before in a DK weight and this did not happen to me. So I think it was because I knitted it with a bigger needle, and I'm not sure why, but can you see that it's got holes next to the I-cord edge, and it's all the way down to the edges. So I don't know what's happened, but it has happened all the way along. So when I went to Woolfest, I thought, well, I'll take this with me. I didn't sew on my ends or anything, because I was actually thinking about frogging it and trying to figure out what my problem was and frog it and reknit it. And I took it along to the lupine stall in Woolfest and was hoping to ask one of their staff what would happen if I frogged it, and how would the yarn behave if I frogged it. And Alana was there, and I got to talk to her, and I was a little bit starstruck, to be honest, because she was one of my little knitting heroes that I had watched all of her videos, and so she'd been in my lounge with me while I've been knitting for quite a few hours and hours and hours. I've watched her episodes, so that was quite funny. And yeah, she was there, and I got to ask her directly, and she ended up telling me, well, you've been consistent with the error. She couldn't work out what I'd done either, but it was so consistent and went right down the edge. She just said if it was her, she would leave it. So that's what I did. I've left it, and nobody can tell. Nobody who doesn't knit, or certainly nobody who hasn't seen a Sophie scarf before, would know. They'd just think it was part of the pattern. So I'm living with it, and I love it. It's yeah, my little splurge, my little treat to myself for Mother's Day. Won't be buying any more of that yarn anytime soon, but yeah, it was nice to knit it. The other funny thing about this yarn, though, is because I was on the hunt for non-superwash, I was looking at all the labels all throughout the whole shop. Every time I picked something up, I'd check whether it was superwash, and my daughter was actually getting a little bit annoyed with me doing that, but yeah, I kept checking, and then I saw the Spincycle, and I just thought, oh wow, I've got Spincycle in front of my eyes, and chose the yarn, bought it, and then got home, and what does it say on it? Superwash. It says superwash on the label, and it is a superwash. And I asked Alana about that as well at the yarn fair, and she said it's a superwash, but it's not quite the same. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like superwash. In fact, some people say it feels a bit like cotton when you're working with it, but it does soften up once you've blocked and washed it, especially after wear. So yeah, me and looking for non-superwash, I end up with my favourite coveted yarn being superwash, which is rather funny, I thought. But anyway, if I ever get back, well, I will get back into a colourwork sweater, I'm going to get enough as a treat to myself at some point way down the track in the future, and treat myself to some Spincycle for some colourwork. Yeah, that'll be nice in the future. Right, what have we got next? So the next little project is a super fun project. I have made friends with a new YouTuber from Ravelry. Her name's Amanda, and I've watched all of her little videos so far. She's got a lot of information on her videos. They're really quite cute. And I think that if I lived down in Ranfurly, we would definitely be friends because she seems to be knitting things right up my alley. So check her out. I'm going to put her link in the show notes below too, in case you haven't seen her. Anyway, she was having her birthday and told us all about how she has a knitting weekend. And she has a knitting weekend for her birthday that all her friends come along to and sit there and knit and natter. And I thought, what a lovely idea. And while she was knitting and nattering for her birthday weekend, she made herself a birthday crown. And I thought, what a good idea. I'd actually looked at this pattern before and thought about making them for my grandson's birthday parties, and never thought to make one for myself. And she's knitted herself a beautiful one using lovely yarn and paired it with a merino, and it's a lovely fluffy beautiful crown. And it was my husband's birthday that coming weekend when I'd watched the video. So I thought, oh, good, I'm going to knit him a crown to wear on our little family dinner, that family lunch that we were having. Unfortunately, that then meant that I had to make my mum one too, because it's her birthday on the same day. So I had to knit two. It's not that it was unfortunate that I had to make her one, because I'm happy to do that. It was just that I only had 3 or 4 days to knit the crowns, and I was only working on it on the evenings. And I made a blue one. Let me show you properly. I made a blue one for my husband, and then I made the pink one for mum. And this one I did it how Amanda had done it in her video. I had to go back and rewatch how hers was, because when I followed the pattern for the blue one, it didn't turn out quite how I imagined it was after seeing hers. So I went back to the video and realised she had added some more extra rows in the garter stitch border and in the stockingette stitch after the pattern. So you started off at this edge, and then the lace pattern repeats that you do shape the crown, and then you end up with a straight bottom edge because of the pattern. And it's a free pattern, so it's very cute. Let me show you. So great for kids' birthday parties or your own party. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, go and check out Amanda on her podcast. I will link her down below. Pretty sure it's called I Knit Daily with underscores in it. And yeah, my husband wore the pink one in the end. The pink one was for mum, but they ended up swapping. She liked the feeling of the wool because, as you can tell, this is the leftover Skeinz yarn in a soft wool. This is a cheap, bulky weight acrylic yarn. And yeah, so they ended up swapping. So my husband wore his the entire day, bless him. And he was very happy with it. And he was so funny because he goes, so that's what you were doing, because I knit this entire blue crown on 2 evenings, or parts of 2 evenings, right next to him, and he didn't even notice. It wasn't until I got the pink yarn out, because he knew that I had that to go to the op shop, he said, what are you doing with that? And I just said, I'm just trying something, and didn't tell him. So that was funny. It was a bit of a surprise for him on his birthday and my mum's birthday, and it was a bit of fun. So yeah. So now we're getting into the part where I show you what I'm working on. Updates on works in progress. I've just showed you what I finished. From the last video, I've also had quite a bit of advice from you guys about the vest that I knitted, that I was asking for help for, which was very cool. I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to frog it yet, because I don't really wear vests right in the middle of winter, because I find them a little bit cold. So if we get towards more spring weather, we'll start wearing it and see if I like it again before I try and frog it and redo it. But I have had a lot of suggestions for some patterns to try for that, and that's cool. Thank you for giving me some some suggestions there. The habitation throw that I'm working on, I have made a little bit of progress, but it's not worth showing you really. I've got to the point in the pattern where I'm decreasing, so I'm more than halfway, which is very cool. And my little green calendula cardigan, I am going to leave that for a bit because I'm seeing my daughter on the weekend and she can tell me whether she's happy with it before I frog that, because I think I've either got to frog it. I did pick up the buttons for it, but I think I've either got to frog it back completely and reknit it just so it's a bit more durable, because I'm thinking it might pill and catch because it's a superwash merino knit in quite a loose gauge. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I am going to have to frog that. Either that or just reknit the button bands, and that might help. But anyway, that's food for thought for now and in the too hard basket. So the only other thing I've got on the needles right now is a test knit, and it's a cardigan by the lovely Tania Barley. She's one of my other knitting heroes, and she's got a lovely YouTube channel which I absolutely love. I will link that down below too. The pattern is beautiful. I'll pop these pictures in for you. It's knit in a sport weight yarn, and it's a relaxed boxy fitted cardigan, so it's got a lot of positive ease to give you a nice relaxed fit, and it's sort of got that same shape as her spring tide cardigan, which I also love. And you begin it by knitting the I-cord, and then you knit this triangle in garter stitch. It's a bit hard to see because sorry guys, I'm jumping in here with a voiceover because I lost the sound. So here I'm showing you the cartridge rib pattern of the back panel, and you add on to the I-cord for the front and left as well. And the cartridge rib is pretty cool because you don't have any purling. So that's pretty cool. But amazingly, well, not amazingly for me, but it's not that mindless. So I'm just knitting that at home mostly. I took it out yesterday and ended up ripping what I'd done back because I mucked it up. And me and woolly wools and undoing too many rows don't work. I'm okay if I notice the mistake just a couple of rows back. I can do that, but if it gets down to 10 or so rows back, I can't do it. Yeah, so I'm not going to be taking that out with me in the future. I need to knit on that at home and just get that done. But I am really loving the yarn that I chose. So this is, I don't think you can get a more woolly wool. Here I am looking for woolly wools, and I found it. So this pattern calls for a sport weight gauge, a sport weight yarn, and in New Zealand, like I said before, we don't have much sport weight, but I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. I looked at the yarn that she used, and she uses wool from the Raw Wool Company, and it's 70% British Romney lamb's wool and 30% British Wensleydale woolen spun, which makes a difference. And it was 260 meters per 100 grams. So I googled 260 meters per 100 grams in New Zealand and came up with Palliser Ridge, and they sell it on a cone. And I'd seen this at the Wool Fest too, and I felt it, and I was quite liking the idea of it. And I thought, wow, when I get up to cable knitting, I might try to knit it with that. And the whole cone is $89 plus postage. So the whole cone is $100 New Zealand, and you'll get 2 full-size adult jumpers out of that. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. The only thing with it is that the colour that I thought wasn't quite. I've just noticed another mistake, I think. The only problem with it was that the colour that I thought I was buying, online shopping and me for wool don't mix, I tell you. it said it was natural black, so this does look like a natural black wool. But the picture on the website looks really beige and more like the colour that Tania used in hers, and I was quite excited. But when it turned up, it was not what I was expecting, so that put me off knitting it for a start. And then also I'm a bit worried about what size I chose to knit it in. I should have done it probably in a size 4, but I'm doing it in a size 3. So watch the space and see if it turns out to be the relaxed boxy fit cardigan that she wanted it to be. Hopefully it will be. I've got a long way to go before I can really tell that. So yeah, I'll keep you posted. But I'm very happy with the Palliser Ridge wool, but I have had to put the gauge swatches in with the project bag for me to just feel, and I don't have to do it anymore, but in the beginning I had to remind myself that yes, it does soften up after blocking. It's actually really nice, and they've got a couple of colours in their range. I think there's a navy, a white, the natural black, and maybe a black. Anyway, I will put their website down in the show notes as well, because if you haven't heard of them, it's a great way to save money on yarn, and it's 100% lamb's wool. And apparently it's sport weight, even though it's advertised as a DK weight yarn. I think it'll knit up either way, because I've done a little bit of stocking stitch down here, because wasn't swatching for stocking stitch, but the stocking stitch just looks lovely. And it's quite soft. I think I'm just getting used to this rustic woolly feel. Yeah, so I'm going to knit something very cool with the rest of that when I've finished. So yeah, that's all I've got for you today, guys. Thank you once again for all your lovely comments and messages of support. I am super happy to be talking to you in the comments, because I just love it. I just love hearing from you and reading through your comments, and you've given me such good suggestions. And if you do comment, can you tell me where you are commenting from? That's really exciting for me to see where everybody comes from in the world, even the ones that said they were just 20 minutes down the road. Oh, that was so funny. I've had so many comments from local Cambridge people, which is really, really cool. So thanks again, guys, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!